banned a lot more than it has been picked, but there we go. Going into more of these champions picks. Once again, I was excited temporarily for just a split second, because going into this before they had their champion selection, when these guys had BJ selected, but I guess we're still not at the time.
I mean, it's disappointing, right? Because this is an age where we're actually seeing quite a lot of different champions with a lot of varied amount of play time. But one champion we're not seeing at all is BJ Blazkowicz, which is tragic because this is big week. Like, obviously he's got a new game out.
It is his
but no
big
one's
week.
playing him. He's got a new skin and everything, and no one's using him.
Well, you know, patience. Good things come to those who wait. Maybe one day, but right now, unfortunately, our poor boy BJ just is not getting selected. And
he's getting played just in Wolfenstein: The New Colossus.
Exactly, and that's better than nothing, of course. But going into this potential map, we do actually see Nyx get picked again, which is quite surprising that we've seen her get picked a very low amount.
She wasn't too popular with the EU today.
Not at all.
I think she got a little bit of playtime, but definitely not the same level of consistency that we have seen from her in the past. But at least from EU, we didn't see that too much. But a little bit of banter going on in this pre-game chat, which is always nice to see. I mean, when everyone's got all those weapons, right?
It's hard to take your eyes off it, really. Everyone's got all these crazy weapons on spawn, and people still can't help but just get a little bit heated before things get started. But to be honest, I think we've got 15 seconds left on this warm-up. This being a loser's bracket obviously means one team's going on into grand finals, the other is going to be out of DreamHack Winter.
Yes, indeed. I mean, this is that ultimate time, right? This is that final chance they've got. But a few seconds, this warm-up's going to be ending, and we're going to get things started in this losers bracket action. Losers finals for North America. Should be the Unlovables waiting for the winner of this team.
Absolutely, and it's one of those issues, it's one of those difficulties I think both these teams will encounter where the reality is Unlovables have got into this tournament definitely being, you know, they are the favourites to win in the NA bracket because of their crazy performance at Denver. But these guys, they're just playing for that shot, you know, they're playing for that chance to sort of take down the Titans that are Unlovables in this bracket. But no lives matter, they have that first drop off. Here we go.
There's actually really important recovery from Brick there, because Cygib, he did a good job of getting a frag and stealing away the soul, but he died very close, dangerously close even to the obelisk, but Brick was there to sort of salvage it. And Cygib going straight back to this power-up, now he has that quad damage in hand. Death row with that predictive rocket. Seen to quite quickly, but there's Brick with the pickup. You see, so consistently see that, you know, some people in chat may be wondering, maybe wondering why sometimes people sort of kill themselves or go for that manual respawn when they have the power up in hand. Simply put, you're just getting rid of it and you're letting your teammate pick it up. You know, someone will have more health, they might have better life. If you know you're going to die, better to let the power up go in the hands of a teammate than to obviously die in a fight and then give it to the enemy by accident.
Exactly.
Especially for something like quad damage, right? Where if it's protection, you're a little bit less likely to die at low health, because obviously just any small pickups, be it health or armor, will do wonders to keep you alive. But quad damage is a little bit more volatile.
Now, No Lives Matter have had a very comfortable start to this round, I have to say. They've not really looked particularly challenged so far. Every time someone's come to the obelisk, they've very sort of quickly dealt with the trouble. They've had a really good level of control over the power-up, be it only one power-up has spawned so far. But even Phazon, he tries to come up from behind, but they're always ready. You know, you can only really sneak up on people so many times if it's you versus two people that have an impressive stack already to go.
Still, a terrible turnaround now for top 10 NA. It seems like there are a lot of people on this obelisk trying to steal it away, but oh no, Brick just comes flying in from the side. No one was looking towards him.
That's kind of the issue, you know, they finally get two heads on the point, but they just weren't looking towards the right-hand side, which incidentally was exactly where Brick was waiting for them. So it just comes down to a level of control that I think No Lives Matter had just above top 10 so far. Obviously, this is just early days. This is the beginning of the first round, so plenty of time for adaptations. Might take these guys a little bit longer to warm up, you never know.
Almost Cygib.
Oh, nice flip.
Good shot he dealt with from Pi Hero, who is himself quite low and severely outnumbered. It's going to be a stolen soul for sure. Now, can they get away? Brick very low here while carrying it. Mega health will be up soon, but is he going to be able to get it in time? Has no time to turn around, just wants to capture it.
I think even waiting around for that mega health would have been a risk because you just don't want to lose the mega in any way. Actually, no, it's one of the top 10 NA was not sitting on this point. Phazon has been able to secure the protection, which means good news for them. I think if No Lives Matter secured the protection now, then that pretty much would be a done deal with only 20% of the round left to go. I think that's one of their big...
Oh no, he died with it!
Yeah, and he missed
away to No Lives Matter, no less.
He missed a really unfortunate rail too. I mean, that was one of those rails that you kind of had to hit, otherwise your death was guaranteed. Unfortunately, when your guaranteed death results in you losing protection, that's one of the worst ways you can probably go down. Pi Hero now being completely surrounded.
Did we just see a 7 damage rail? Did my eyes deceive me?
Part of me wants to say so, but I'm assuming it might
I mean,
just
surely
be,
that's not possible.
it kind of looked like it, but we'll just,
Well, could be acid?
maybe.
I'm just trying to think where that number 7 came from.
Oh.
Oof, Psyche really has been putting on quite a fragging clinic right now so far with this Doomslayer. The Doomslayer players have really just been the most aggressive today, haven't they?
Well, I feel like in many ways that's the purpose that Doomslayer fits in a team competition, isn't it? Is that constant output of damage, the fact that as long as he's got Berserk, he's able to pretty much just...
Wait, hang on a minute!
Exactly, right? I mean, that is why.
He had 1 health that entire fight.
The fact that he's able to pretty much just zip in and out and then just sucker punch you left and right. Constant damage, and the fact that he's got an impressive stack, he's got good mobility. Pushed a little bit too far forward. Can't quite pick up the soul, but I mean, that's case in point why Doomslayer is so good in this game mode.
Pyro trying to get around, doesn't want to walk too far, doesn't want to accidentally go into this plasma trail, but Cygiv getting a quick double on the point, getting a triple. Oh, make that 4. All the team is gone now. Cygiv and that rocket launcher in hand.
They now have to rush towards the obelisk. The danger is if they're fresh off the spawn, they may not have specific weapons they want. They might not be as ready for these fights. However, with 1% left to go, they've got no choice but to go in one at a time. If there are no other options, they've lost 2 people. That might be enough.
And it will. Yeah, that's the first round on the board. No Lives Matter looking untouchable so far. Obviously 24% on the side of top 10 NA, but a lot of that came later in the round at the point that it's difficult, right? You know, No Lives Matter, a big part is their power-up control. They seem to hold the majority of for, well, a lot of the time.
It was a slow start for top 10 NA, but to be honest, I'm not entirely sure they actually got going either. I feel like, you know, they might sort of come out into their element a little bit more in this second round, but unfortunately, with such an amazing start that, again, No Lives Matter have had, Cygiv using that Berserk so early on, it's always going to be a good idea because fresh off the spawn where there's not really enough weapons for everyone on the map, using that Berserk and that guaranteed 75 damage per time, just look at how many of these fights have gone in the favor of No Lives Matter, and again, they've dropped off the soul. This is a fantastic start.
Well, also in a sense that the lightning gun is basically being ignored for the most part by the majority of the players today, so a lot of the emphasis is on the shotgun, the rocket launcher, the rail. There's sort of like 3 weapons. There is only so many players that can pick those up at any given time. So if you get those frags early on, not only are you setting them back in terms of like not being in position to contest for that first soul pickup, you're also putting them in a position that they aren't going to have anywhere near the weapons they need to start fighting. And effortlessly running in with that gauntlet, stealing that quad damage away.
Oh, he does miss that super shotgun blast though, so Mav very happily going to run in there and punish that mistake. Oh, Cygiv trying to just fly in there and do that sort of like super Doomslayer airborne punch. Doesn't work out though.
That's one of those perfect sequences of the quad damage though. You get yourself a super shotgun, you get quad damage on a champion with a lot of movement, and you will make beautiful things happen.
They've had automatically a better start now. They've been able to get that slightly earlier drop off than they have before.
Oh, a little bit of damage, but that follow-up would be more than enough. Mav LP is going on an absolute tear with the super shotgun. There's that Berserk, he has quite a lot of health. Playing it through, get it past, but it's picked up by Phazon.
I like the attempt to go in for the double jump just to get a little bit of the extra height, being able to throw the soul away without sort of needing the elevation of a platform, but only really able to prevent it for so long. No Lives Matter though. It's going to be even now, 23% each way, but I like the way they're starting to defend. Their ability to just win these fights, coming off a lot more successful in the second round.
Yeah, they've had a much more of a stable start, I think. Our hero suiciding, but that's actually not the first time we've seen that today. That a player has committed suicide on the defending team, and the attacking team has basically used that as an example to go straight in, like without any hesitation.
Even if it's a tactical suicide to either pass a weapon to someone else or to pass a power-up, sometimes a suicide at the end of the day is still going to show the enemy team that they're going to be one man down for a few seconds. And with the speed at which frags can happen in Quake, a few seconds of you being respawning is enough time for an entire team to be down on a fight.
But that's something that we didn't really see early on in the game's life, but it seems like people, really paying attention. Like, as soon as you see that suicide, you know that at the point, that's it. That is immediately a fight in your favor. Speaking of though, the protection is up and Effortless gets it, but he is very low now. So suicide, but MavLP runs in the way just in time to steal it. He's trying to get away, is very low, and again, that kind of suicide would have made sense because of how low he was, but MavLP just ran straight in.
I can only assume he wasn't prepared for Mav to actually be there. I can only assume he wasn't ready for an enemy to be standing right next to him. I think he probably would have tried to potentially win the fight first, even with protection. You might be able to get one free rocket off before you went down, but
Unfortunately for them, it's allowed them to almost put themselves back into the lead. They've only got a few more percentage to make things even.
Yeah, Mav did a really good job of just salvaging that there. All that came off the back of what was a very successful... I mean, first things first, you know, the first power up of the game, that quad, he was the one that stole it. He was the one that got a ton of frags and was able to hold on to the point for it. And again, this time, you know, he got that protection and he used the entire sequence, the entire rotation.
Here comes Brick with the drop-off. That's a death throw was pretty much a guaranteed kill the second he used that jump pad. All 3 people focusing fire on him straight away. Missing one of those rails, actually, I think that's really going to allow Pyhero to be as aggressive as he wants, but that's the issue, yeah. The second he took one rail, that's when things get different. 2 lovely shots coming out from Brick.
Yeah, Brick had a couple of crucial misses and just immediately turned it into 3 shots that he couldn't afford to miss, and then landed all 3 of them. Before she died for it, though, was outnumbered on the point. Sygib going to try and stop them from bringing this back. He's going to try and take a detour, but dies anyway, was way too low. That's my trail. Pyhero is here, trying to pick it up anyway.
Pyhero has had some very impressive rails. We actually saw that from him yesterday on Duel as well. Like, his accuracy with the rail is not to be underestimated by any means.
The issue is he himself is very low right now. Oh, walked straight onto a rocket. Sygib just deterring people so far. 3 kills going in the favor of No Lives Matter. Now they already have the soul also. The quad damage can be up. Are we going to see him drop it off, or is he going to hang around for the quad?
I'm assuming he's definitely going to drop off, particularly if the rest of his team are able to take quad. They're not so far, but there we go. They've been able to clean things up, and now they've got the soul dropped off and plenty of quad damage left. This is pretty much best case scenario for No Lives Matter.
Pyhero went for the Berserk too. That's going to be a long wait before he's got that back again. But the soul has been stolen away. This is a good way of salvaging this for top 10.
Just waste some of that time. And he's taken the mega health away from them too. One of the best.
But again, it was Mav. Mav's decision-making and his ability to play under these situations that his team has been down almost the whole time has been impeccable. He's almost single-handedly making the decisions that is bringing his team back into the game.
Landing some good rails too. I really like this defense coming out of top 10 right now. It's been so important after that really slow start in the first round. You almost worry if there's going to be a super dominant win for No Lives Matter, but just look at the percentage. You know, it says otherwise.
It's being a lot more even. Pit taking a lot of damage in that exchange. You're almost certainly going to die here. Yes, Mav is ready and waiting to take him out, but Sygib, there with the recovery, has a lot of health left on this Doomslayer. Fully stacked up to 125. One person standing in his... That's on his team. Never mind. Forgive me for a second. Still, though, that's a crucial drop-off for them.
Definitely, because now they've got 15%, that's going to be 1 map down.
And no power up for 30 seconds as well.
Yeah, it's unlikely. If they keep this constant stream going, we may not even see another power-up. That said, they are starting to make the assault, so if they can waste a little bit of time and get the soul dropped off their own, then maybe the power-up becomes a threat, but until then, it's going to be 1 at a time. They have to try and pile in. Phazon still alive temporarily.
Sygib all coming straight back again. Pit! There's the recovery, 97%. Top 10. They're losing a lot of people on this point. They have to try and get it, but they're running in 1 at a time just to try and contest. I think this might be it. Mav drops down. They're contesting. They also die. I don't think they have people close enough. They're running in 1 at a time, but it is literally just feeding into the meat grinder at this point. That is going to be it. The round is over. No Lives Matter go up, and they picked up the protection as well, just for good measure.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think at that last minute, you kind of get put in a very difficult situation at the end of a map where there's so little percentage left for you to try and sort of contest with. You just need to make sure that you're challenging the point all the time. If it involves you having to trickle in 1 at a time, I think all you can really hope for is that at the last minute, you're making sure that the 4 of you going in 1 at a time is enough to just make sure that it's never climbing percentage, but that's really all you can do. Your advancement has to become very obvious. It's obviously going to be 1 versus 4 if all 4 of you are on the point. It's a very hard situation that most teams aren't really able to come back from because, I mean, you can't. It's 1 versus 4 all the time. You're just taking it in turns to die.
Yeah, I mean, have we seen... I don't want to say we never have, but have we seen a point that someone has actually managed to... A team has come back from being in that situation where it is 99%, when there is just 1 left and they are trickling in 1 at a time? I mean, is there a more difficult situation to realistically win from than that? Because you have literally no choice but to go on 1 at a time and constantly going through towards, you know, that contesting. Because if you don't contest, you lose.
We've seen it a couple of times, but it's mostly when It's mostly during those moments where it's like 99 versus 99, though.
Unless one of the guys, like, you know, contesting has a power-up. Like, let's say your team's contesting while you pick up the protection, right? Maybe that's an example, but that's like a very specific, it requires a power-up to be up at the same time, but if you're contesting for 1%, chances are the team defending probably have people on the power-up as well. Like, it's one of those ultimate what-ifs, right? Like, how do you realistically do that?
Well, I think Mav going into, so our next map's going to be Tempest Shrine. So looking forward to seeing that one, of course, because it's always a very, actually, I find Tempest Shrine to be quite an entertaining map because it kind of has like, you know, it has like an edge, not over the other maps as such, but it just kind of has that level of uniqueness with how consistently the fight takes place in the middle of the map because of that reset that people like to go for. I think it's quite an interesting mechanic that I think I'm really enjoying seeing some of these players starting to adapt that. So we're going into our next map now. I had to quickly wait for one of our players to rejoin. But regardless of how that didn't particularly go amazingly well for top 10 NA, I do think Mav was quite a star performer.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of his plays were very, very significant.
That would have been a hugely more one-sided game had it not been for Mav there. And it all came down to his decision-making, right? He was putting himself in the right place at the right time, and he was following through on those decisions. You know, he was committing to contesting that power-up or sealing it away or, you know, making that clutch defense when he needed to. And if he can keep that up from the start and have his team start to sort of follow suit and really support him through that, I think we can see a big change here. But it's going to be Tempest Shrine as our second map, and you were talking about that reset strategy of, you know, throwing the soul out of bounds, and you realize that things are just not going your way. We see that a lot on Tempest Shrine, especially if you're not the team that got the favored obelisk in B.
Now here comes the champion select for another time. Pi Hero going into Doomslayer. One thing that we see all the time is if someone goes in for Doomslayer, they're pretty much going to stick 100% with that champion through thick and thin. And here come those picks. Yeah, very standard, very expected. You know, you've got the Slash, you've got the Anarchy, you've got the Sorlag. This is Tempest Shrine, so of course those picks are coming through. It makes a lot of sense. But I think that it's area denial and the ability to sort of shut down those doorways and those hallways is vital for a map like Tempest Shrine, because realistically, apart from the obelisks, which have somewhat levels of open space, almost everywhere else is a corridor of some sort. So you look at the champions here, where obviously Death Row's gone in for Nyx again, but you can see the fact that we have Slash, Doomslayer, Anarchy, Sorlag getting selected for another time. These champions are all really, really good in close quarters, because Anarchy and Slash, they've got their mobility plus Gauntlet, and then Sorlag. I mean, if you meet Sorlag in that sort of death alley, then you're really only going to survive for so long before she inevitably kills you and then takes the soul away.
But both teams holding on to that Doomslayer that we've been saying before.
Yeah.
A lot of the respective Doomslayer players on their teams today have kind of been the star damage dealers and getting the most frags on the team. I know you said that you think he really fits that role very well, and on a map like this, even more so. You know, that Berserk letting him cover a lot of distance quite quickly, but you know, still being able to deal significant amounts of damage while he's doing that, I think is going to be really useful, especially on a map like this with 30 seconds left in the warm-up.
But I think that with the way that actually this more, I just can't take my eyes off some of the memes in the pre-game chat between these American teams. It seems to be more of an American thing in these matches. It doesn't really happen as much for EU. But either way, and they're talking about taking them out on a date to certain fast food establishments. I will not name names, but going into this match, it's going to be what could be our potentially final map on Tempest Shrine in these two teams. And I feel like so far, No Lives Matter have been looking just that little bit stronger coming off from Ruins, but obviously there's plenty of time for things to change.
So that Gauntlet being revved hard, but Saigiv not going to fall down to it. Soul going to spawn any second now. Saigiv really has just been hugely important and throws it off the map immediately. Instant reset.
Yeah, I can only assume he was expecting, either he himself was expecting to die quite quickly, or he must have just noticed how many of his teammates fell at the same time. If he'd lost a couple of teammates, then obviously trying to get to your point alive with just you is a bit of a difficult task, but here comes Brick. There's no one there to meet him in the middle. However, the reset did waste enough time that you're not going to have the luxury of being able to go for the soul drop-off and the power-up, so they're going to have to make somewhat of a choice. However, even though the choice was made, somehow No Lives Matter were able to both command the soul and the power-up, even though they had split their resources.
Got the obelisk they wanted and the power-up, and it went to Saigiv no less. iHero holding onto the soul, but didn't really get too far with Saigiv here with that quad damage submachine gun. Seeing that weapon do so much damage until they have quad. And then it's like, well, yep, you're definitely dead.
I feel like that was a really impressive sequence from No Lives Matter, actually. How they were... Oh, see you later, Anarchy.
The melting man.
Deary me.
Cometh.
But I think that it was a great sequence, the fact that there was 2 people on the Soul and there was 2 people on the power-up.
Good shot.
Yeah, definitely. Sidegibbs has some really good shots already so far. Can he get one more? No, Mav does. 1v1 him. I guess I will be wondering how top 10 were able to sort of let that one slip.
They still don't have access to this obelisk. The Soul has now been stolen, so they're now starting to put a halt to that progress. But Pyhero has got people around him. Phazon trying to keep him alive. Sidegibb runs straight through with that Berserk. Just swinging fists left, right, and center.
But I mean, now the Berserk has that improved lock-on, it's very unlikely that in this close proximity that he's ever going to miss you with Berserk. And again, seeing as it's 75 damage per punch, it's a lot of damage in a short space of time. Seeing as these smaller, lighter champions are quite favored in Sacrifice, even though Slash, yes, she's got 100 health instead, that still is not much compared to the damage of Berserk. So I think he's just naturally a very strong champion in this game mode for a number of reasons.
Sidegibb from the top, just peppering down that damage. Still going to fall down. But the Soul, this entire time, No Lives Matter have been controlling the Soul. Oh no, misses the pass. Mav going to go for that reset immediately, wasting no time. I mean, I can't really be surprised at that. How difficult it has been for top 10 NA to really bring that Soul out of this area. Resetting it is going to make more progress than they've been able to make themselves normally.
Well, if you're struggling to take the fight when the obelisk is... if you're struggling to fight for the Soul when it's at the obelisk, you probably think you have... Oh, nice. Good detonation. Pit has access to the protection. There's going to be some health around for him to sort of top himself back up. But as I was saying, I think if you're more confident you can take the fight in the middle of the map, then the reset's always going to be a popular option.
You can see No Lives Matter trying to find safe passage back towards the obelisk. Pit has to be careful because he does have protection, but he does only have 40 health, which again, quickly escape you. That's much more like it. The protection about to run out, but the Soul still very much here. Still, immediately goes back. No Lives Matter 60% and climbing. Oh, treading punch for punch.
Definitely. But it's been a great round so far. The issue actually, top 10 and 8, even though they've had the Soul a couple of times, they are yet to get a single percentage, which is only going to spell bad news. If they lose this first round 100-0, I would be very concerned going into that final round. Or what could be final round, for sure, if it's 2-0. High Hero. The danger is going to be if the rest of your competition has rocket launchers and they can aim at that high ground. When you're trying to take that obelisk, you are extremely vulnerable. Yeah, Phazon just kind of met head on.
They just can't seem to actually realistically move this Soul. Like, and that is what it boils down to. They're doing a good job of, like, you know, contesting it and taking it off the obelisk, but they can't seem to move it where they need to get it. Even down to these resets, they're not really controlling it upon the reset. They're losing it quite quickly, and you know, they're yet to get a percentage on the board here.
Well, when the reset happens, you still need to make sure that you are taking control of the middle of the map. The issue is, I just don't feel like top 10 have had any level of control at all.
It's almost like the reset needs to be the first move of the next play for your whole team. It's not just, you know, oh, damn, let's quickly, you know, let's go for the reset. Let's just off-map it and then fight. You have to make sure that it is something that you're off-mapping it while your team is readily getting into position to pick it up immediately again. But now this is a much better turnaround for them, getting some percentage on the board. This is huge, especially after being such a dramatic deficit.
But here comes the power-up for another time. That's why it wasn't being challenged as consistently, because I think they were trying to pile in, making sure they could secure this quad damage, and now they're going to put all of their resources. They have the Soul, they just need to bring it back. But that was a very crucial rail to land from Death Row, just to temporarily get rid of that rail. Brick, very weak indeed, but he has enough time to pop the injection. He survives, turns around on Phazon, wins the 1v1, and now he should be able to drop this power-up off Sidegibb with the quad damage. Should do a good job of protecting the rest of his team, and there we go.
It was picked up. They have the quad for a few more moments. They have a lot of people here, and that's the important thing. They are fully equipped, fully stacked, flying in with a Berserk punch, but Sidegibb so distant, and Pyhero is going to fall down. 2 of them gone. 90% to 17. This is looking all No Lives Matter as we go into the rest of this round. Very unlikely that top 10 can stop this unless they all come here right now together.
Well,
even then, they have to take out the whole team of No Lives Matter.
Again, we're reaching that point where they have no choice but to pile in, and we've said it many, many times. You're forced to make decisions that you probably don't want to make. You just have to run in one at a time. You have to just pile in as fast as you respawn. It makes the fight fantastic for the defending team, and this is no exception. It's match point for No Lives Matter, looking unbelievably strong on Tempest Shrine so far.
1 round away from eliminating top 10 NA and getting their run back in grand finals against Unlovables. They might be able to get it. Who knows? Maybe a mil, maybe not. To be honest, the fact that they are yet to lose a round, though, and not all of these rounds have been particularly close, I don't know if top 10 NA can do it. I think a big part of it is Saigib has just been uncontrollable. Like, he has just been flying around, getting the majority of the frags in the game, especially at sort of crucial points of it. So he is quite early to fall here. This is a much better start for top 10 NA. Soul now is up. He managed to get it, but died immediately. Pit flying around with that gauntlet in hand. Nav trying to get through. They need to make sure they don't lose this first obelisk, but it might be out of his control as Brick is flying in from behind.
But the very specific pathing, you know, these guys want obelisk A. Yeah, this, oh no, actually, sorry, B, I suppose, actually. Memory has failed me temporarily,
but they got it.
This is the obelisk they've been specifically seeking out, you know. This is the one they want. Brick very easily could have gone straight forward. He could have gone towards A, but he decided to stop, turn around, and go for this one again. I think with how well they defended it, and on the flip side, not only how well they've defended this obelisk, but at the same time, how much of a very obviously hard time top 10 have had to fight and get the soul away once they have it in hand. This makes sense to be the prioritized obelisk for these guys.
No, top 10 NA, they held the soul first. They didn't hold it for very long. And No Lives Matter are now climbing that 20% and rising. Pit didn't get too much mileage out of that quad damage, but the important thing was the time was spent. He was able to just keep that going. Death Row just pops up with that rocket launcher. A lot of frags coming up for top 10. This is going to be a steal now. Can they safely get it back? That is the question. Mav there, going to catch it. Plenty of health. A lot of speed coming up now. Covers the distance. That's most of the way done.
Oh, and even though he got hit by a rail, because Slash has that nice stack, doesn't really matter. He got the drop off, but can he survive long enough? That's one thing. They've been able to drop things off, but No Lives Matter have done such an amazing job of just piling in, taking the fight as quickly as possible, and then simply exiting with the soul. I feel like top 10 have a lot of defending to do. You know, they need to defend a lot stronger than they did in the first round. They had a very hard time.
Well, they're going around it a good way this time. The power-up not going to be up for a little while, so they can focus on fundamentally just getting here as a group. But Saigib appearing and getting that swift double. And it's that kind of Saigib special that we've been seeing. He really has just been that star, just damage dealer. And the players exactly why he managed to take the soul is being followed by the gauntlet.
Actually, kind of looked like he got stuck on the terrain there.
Oh, yeah, Death Row just stuck to him like the whole time, but Brick is there ready to salvage as soon as his teammate drops the soul. That damage boost. Oh, try and get distance. Is able to bypass all of them, and even though he died straight away, stalled them in their progress and started building up that progress again.
Yeah, Brick used his final rocket on that rocket jump, and I think it was a good call. You know, yes, he had nothing to defend himself with, but the important thing was just dropping off the soul, taking a little bit of extra time. No Lives Matter, they still have the lead, be it. It's not a very significant lead, but that may be easier said than done. Now they have access to the power-up. No Lives Matter very happily sitting on that quad.
Back, but no, he gets stopped on the way. Two of them die. Just the machine gun Bricks quad damage proving very powerful so far. That's the second time they've tried to go back the very long way back to the obelisk, and they've just been stopped this time before they even captured it.
And they've got a nice amount. Oh no, he misses the shot. Is that his punish?
Another one. Oh, luckily Pit is there to save the day.
And again, you saw that really quick little flick. You know, Brick, that was relief. He was very relieved that Pit came in to save him right there with the gauntlet. Otherwise, they may have seen the quad.
They're going to drop. Oh, runs straight in. Pi Hero ready awaiting again that rocket launcher. Again, No Lives Matter. They've got a lot of captures, but they're not getting a huge chunk every time. But it hasn't been enough for them to firmly put in the lead.
Well, it has simply just been more than top 10 as well. So that they've sort of both been having the same approach where they drop it off and they get a little bit of percentage here and there. I feel like No Lives Matter have just had it more consistently. Oh, and yeah, he's dead. 100% he's dead.
This is the billion beams. Oof, that was a bit disgusting.
Yeah, stuck in the air.
Have a dead body vomit out acid mid-death animation.
Ugh.
Gross. Still though,
should be a drop-off.
Well, maybe. They did manage to drop it, but I mean, this is good. Saigib has quite a respectable amount of health left and plenty of rockets. And a berserk. But from behind.
Oh, he missed! Yeah, that's a very, very crucial row, but no, he did manage to finish things off. Mav goes down to LG regardless. Pit finishes things.
Pi Hero at least trades out with his death. Pi Hero has been starting to really shine in this game, but has it been too little too late as this distance, look at this gap between No Lives Matter, 70 and plus rising to 24. This is a big lead to have this point in the round as that protection is ticking away. Going to be up in a few seconds time. If No Lives Matter get this protection, it is going to be so difficult for top 10 NA to bring it back.
Yeah, I feel like if they get it, it's probably going to be the round. I like the level of control they've had so far.
They have it.
Yeah, they have protection. And even if Death Row goes down, there's plenty of people around that might be able to pick up this protection. But he's put all in. He's put every ounce of his resources in towards trying to take the obelisk. The problem is, if you go down there, the entire rest of your competition is going to be sitting on the obelisk as well. He put everything in to try and dive down. And unfortunately, he just played into the hands of No Lives Matter.
They confirmed the protection so cleanly as well, but he just didn't have the support on the obelisk that he needed. He gave the protection away, and now that's looking almost like a complete game, and it will be, as No Lives Matter eliminate top 10 NA and will advance through to grand finals, where they will get their rematch versus the Unlovables.
I feel like at the very end there, like you said it right, I think that their control over protection was really strong. It was pretty much uncontested. There was no one there to challenge it. But the second they had 3 of them at the point, we saw Death Row with that protection and a respectable amount of health to get the job done. He pretty much just wasted no time and instantly jumped down there, and there wasn't a huge amount of support coming from his team at all. So he pretty much just jumped into the belly of the beast where all weapons were on him. He was only going to last so long when you have, like, the gauntlets coming through with Slash, and then ultimately, if you lose protection that late in the match when they were that far ahead, the second they got access to protection, that was pretty much going to be game over. That was pretty much the game-ending play right there.
Yes, it was, but that does mean we have just one more series to play today to determine who will be that final qualified team for the online playoffs to DreamHack Winter in a nice amount of time away. I'm quite looking forward to
just
seeing,
over 1 month.
about just over a month away. So I think that's enough time for players to really, grind out, knowing what other team is going to be there, who is their competition. Go over the VODs, rewatch what's going on, and really understand what's going on. But while we get that final match ready to go, we are going to go to a quick break. While we get things ready, don't go anywhere, because we'll be